I tried to come across. I really wanted to make sure people I could instill with them the real effect on me was the cost of what I was doing. You know, because when you're doing it, you don't ever really stop to take cost. And our guest tonight, we'll get into some of the financial. I'll let you introduce our guest in just a second. But you know, it is full-time work. It was for me, at least in my story. It was full-time work to figure out how I was going to supply my need for alcohol and for drugs. And you know, I started out with plenty of resources. Towards the end, I had no resources, but the appetite. You know, I think we said it at dinner. The disease doesn't leave anything. You know, there's no such thing as taking 10 or 15%, moving it up to the side so that you'll have some kind of reserve. The disease just eats and eats and eats until there's nothing left.
Well, and Kayla kind of touched on this, but so I constantly, when I share my story, talk about the fact that no one gets help, or no one walks down this path without consequences. And in your case, it was running out of options. And in my case, it was pretty much running out of options. So the cost, it can be relative. It could be financial, and it could be relationships.
Yeah.
It could be physical.
Yeah, health, no question
health,
about
the whole
that.
deal. But the cost factor from a financial standpoint can be devastating to individuals and to families too.
Yeah, you know, and it's not one of those things. You know, we had dinner with our guest, and we were talking about one of the things that I didn't get in treatment. One of the things I didn't get in treatment was we never really got into a conversation about cost. You know, we were too busy trying to cover all the basic first steps of getting into recovery. You know, trying to figure out how I ended up in the treatment center. I was, you know. A financial conversation is if you're going to be successful in recovery, you're definitely going to have some kind of financial help, some kind of financial planning, because this, you know, when you're starting over, you're starting over. And a lot of us, I know for me, I know a lot of us, we spend a lot of the time going through our resources, not keeping up with how much it was costing us, certainly not considering what treatment was going to cost us. And so those are all parts of this disease that really don't get discussed very often.
Well, and so much of this is done under the guise of triage, because you're in a crisis situation, and you really don't, you have time to react and not to act. If you had the chance to actually plan this out, you would probably do a whole lot differently than you do.
Well, you know, it's funny. You make decisions full of emotion when you're going through what we go through, and you know, the best financial decisions usually you should be devoid of emotion. I mean, it's you know, it's you do some analysis and you make good decisions. When you're still addicted, or and this didn't happen to me, but it certainly happened to my family, as you're trying to figure out how to stop everything, the emotion is thick, but you're burning money. I mean, everything costs.